Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole and I share delicious homestyle recipes, and I also take you behind the scenes on my journey as a twin mum. Today I'm sharing my week by week twin pregnancy symptoms from the very beginning right through to delivery. My twin tummy progression video went viral, and so many of you have asked for more details. If you haven't seen that video, I'll make sure I link it below for you. But in this video, I will expand on everything that I went through. When I was pregnant, I often felt somewhat alone and it was difficult to find information about twin pregnancies. So my hope is that this video can help another twin mum feel more prepared or give someone who's maybe expecting multiples a glimpse into what to expect. So let's jump in all the way back to the very start. So you can't see the footage here, but one of the first things I noticed before about 3 to 4 weeks pregnant was my heightened sense of smell. So it happened really, really early on, as I said, about 3 to 4 weeks pregnant, and meats, especially things like lamb, smelled way stronger and I just could not stomach them. Week 6. You wouldn't have been able to tell unless you know me well, but I really noticed my tummy pop, which was crazy because it was so early on in the twin pregnancy. At the time, I didn't realize I was having twins, and after when I found out, it made a lot more sense because that was quite early to see notable signs of pregnancy already. Week 8, I had extremely sore breasts, like so sore. I felt so incredibly pregnant. Things like jogging hurt. Sometimes even walking hurt. So although it was really early on in the pregnancy, I just felt incredibly pregnant. Week 10, food aversions. Okay, these were a big deal for me. Eggs, meats, like all of my old favorites suddenly felt gross. Eggs in particular, I could not even be in the same building as someone cooking eggs. It was definitely a bit of an issue for me. But yeah, and that continued throughout my entire pregnancy. I normally have eggs for breakfast every morning, but yeah, just even the smell of an egg wafting through a building would make me sick. I remember I went to a birthday party and this lady was fully looking at my tummy. She asked my husband privately if we were expecting, to which he said yes, and then told her it was twins. So yeah, even at 10 weeks, my tummy was looking very pregnant and it was becoming very difficult to keep hiding. At 13 weeks pregnant, I was pretty much ravenous. I had the most crazy appetite. I literally just could not eat enough. The amount of food I had to have to grow 2 humans and then sustain myself was just insane. I honestly became obsessed with food because I was literally always worried about where my next meal was coming from or what I might have to make because I had to eat quite frequently too. I'd have a huge meal and then I'd be like, oh, I won't need to eat for ages. But then straight pretty much soon after, as soon as I'd been able to digest it, I just felt like it just disappeared and I needed more food again. So yeah, I was eating so much food and I needed a lot of energy at 13 weeks. At around 13 weeks, my husband and I also went on our baby moon. We wanted to do that quite early in the pregnancy because often with twin pregnancies, you're not allowed to travel in some of the second or third trimesters, depending on if you're high risk or not. So we wanted to do it early on, and that way I was more capable in my abilities of, going for a little hike or whatever it was that I wanted to do. So we did that at 13 weeks. It was absolutely amazing. I do have a vlog on that experience. So if you want to watch that, I will link that after this video for you to check out too. Week 14, so you can see my tummy has begun to pop. I remember at the start of the day, I would always feel really well, have all of this energy, but it faded pretty quickly, and by the evenings it was extremely exhausting. I was quite fatigued, so it was hard to manage that sort of roller coaster of energy really. But yeah, super high energy in the morning, crash and burn at night. Around this point I had very frequent urination as well. That was just so crazy. I would literally wake up almost every hour during the night and have to go to the bathroom. It would be a struggle to hold for anything even up to an hour. So the pressure on my body that was building just must have been crazy. By week 16, I had the most insane heartburn. It was honestly so intense through the whole pregnancy. it was one of the things that bothered me the most, and was the most uncomfortable for me to deal with. The only thing that really helped me was these little tablets called Quick Ease. So I would try, if I knew I was going for a scan, I had to lie down in a position that was somewhat on my back. I would have to have like one of those. But yeah, the heartburn like really was an issue for me throughout the entire pregnancy as well. It just wasn't in like a short burst or whatever. I just remember as soon as the babies were born as well, like it was just like a relief. Like it was just gone straight away. And I just remember thinking like when I was pregnant, like, is this gonna stick around? Because it was like truly like so painful, so uncomfortable. At around week 16, I'm pretty sure I also had to do my first gestational diabetes test. So when you're having twins or having multiples, you actually have to do the test twice, one a bit earlier on and then one at the normal time. So I think that's normally around 24, 26 weeks. So I had to do that. That was no fun, but whatever. Get it done, get it out the way, and then go for round 2 later on. Week 18, sleep became a lot trickier for me, so I needed multiple pillows. By the end of the pregnancy, I needed 5 pillows in total just to get comfortable, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I just needed so many pillows for sleeping on my side, sleeping, in an upright on my back, like, yeah, and I literally had like a pillow fort in the bed. It was crazy. At 21 weeks, we had just had the morphology scan. So that's typically like a really important ultrasound. They go through everything and let you know how the pregnancy and the baby is all tracking. So this scan usually takes around 45 minutes for a singleton. So I remember when we were there, it took 1.5 hours for them to do both babies. And I just remember having to try and hold my bladder for that time, was just insane. And yeah, it took so long, but honestly, it's truly such a beautiful and special experience getting to see them and, going through all there's the little hands and that's their little, that's their feet. And it's crazy also what the sonographers can see, because like some of the stuff they're like, oh, that's their femur. And I was like, that does not look like a femur to me. But anyway, yeah, pretty crazy what they can see. At that scan as well, that was when they confirmed that we were having a boy and a girl. So on my 13-week or my 12-week scan, they were like, okay, this baby twin B is like 90% chance a boy. And then twin A, they're like a little bit hard to see, but she was a really senior sonographer. She'd been a sonographer for 30 years. She said in her experience, she's only got a few guesses wrong if she had to guess. And she guessed that it would be another boy. So she was like, this one's probably like 60, 70% chance, maybe a boy. She's like, had you come like 1 week later, I would be able to confirm for sure. But she's like, sorry, we'll have to confirm at the next one. So I literally was in disbelief. I never thought that I would have twin boys. In my mind, I just always thought that if I was going to have twins, it would be a boy and a girl, because my uncle and my auntie are boy-girl twins. So I guess that's all I've known. And I've always never thought that I would be just, have 2 boys. For some reason, I just always thought that I would have a girl as well. So I was just like over the moon when she told us that it was going to be a boy and a girl, because I just felt like everything that I had thought and everything that I had believed like was true. Everything that I thought, everything that I felt was true about having a boy and a girl within myself, like I felt like it was a boy and a girl, was confirmed. So it was really nice to have that moment. 23 weeks, you can start to see I'm looking a little bit puffy in my face. I do think like between 23 and 24 weeks, like I was looking a bit swollen. Also at 24 weeks, the heartburn became super, super intense. And I was thinking at that point, how could these babies grow and stretch my body anymore? But they did. 25 and 26 weeks, I was in full planning mode for our baby shower and the nursery. Early baby showers are recommended for mums of multiples, and if you are in that situation, I would recommend you have one before week 30. Week 27, so this is the day of the baby shower. It was such an amazing day. I didn't do the usual girl only baby shower. I wanted to have my husband to be able to celebrate with us too. So we did it with all of our friends and our family. So our village showed up for us, and we'll be forever grateful for that day. I'm so glad we did do the baby shower early as well, because literally the week after that, I was in and out of hospital nonstop until I was born. The doctors say that at 28 weeks with twins, it's equivalent to a full-term pregnancy with a singleton in terms of size. So I would say that, to me, that looks about right. So with my tummy at 28 weeks with twins, that's pretty much normally what I would look like if I was having one full-term pregnancy with one baby. I remember at my baby shower too, one of my girlfriends said, "You're the same size as me as when I had my kids," so that makes sense. 29 weeks. Okay, so this is when I had my PPROM experience. So it was a water rupture for twin A, and I was rushed to hospital. Honestly, it was a really scary experience, and I was really worried that the babies were going to come too early. The hospital was preparing me for labor. They gave me some steroid injections. At the time, I didn't think that the babies were going to arrive that early. I didn't feel like my body was going to go into labor, and it didn't. Thank God I was able to keep them in for another 5 to 6 weeks, which is super, super lucky. But because of that experience, I then had to have the most insane checks pretty much every day from that point. So either a nurse would come to my home and do CTG traces of the babies, or I would have to go to hospital. So I was literally in contact with the hospital every day. And then we also had to do fortnightly growth and wellbeing scans as well to make sure that the fluid wasn't decreasing from that sac, because otherwise it would be delivery. At 31 weeks, I was starting to really feel it. I do feel like I had a really great pregnancy up until about 30 plus weeks. So my third trimester was pretty full on. So you can see how stretched my poor tummy is. I also stopped working around 31 to 32 weeks. Week 33 and 34, my feet were incredibly swollen. I literally had hobbit feet. And the weight of the babies really started to weigh on me. I couldn't be on my feet long, and I felt like I needed to hold up my belly. My sister-in-law also lent me this belt thing that I would wear, and it really did help. So yeah, it just helped ease the load of that weight that was pulling on my body. So up until that point, I didn't actually have any issues with the weight of the babies on my body. I didn't feel which I was kind of surprised by, because I had a DCDA pregnancy, so I had 2 sacs, 2 fluids, 2 babies. There was a lot of, even though they were small babies, it was still double of all those things as well. So, but yeah, it wasn't probably until that point, right towards the end of my pregnancy, 33, 34 weeks, that the weight still really started to weigh me down, as you can say. Around this time as well, at one of the growth and wellbeing scans, twin A had an abnormal Doppler. So that was when they were like, okay, look, it's probably not too far away that this birth is going to happen. So yeah, I think I had a hospital stay of 3 nights or something. And I think I had to, yeah, it was around 33 weeks that was. And then my next one was at the 35 weeks. So it was just pretty much trying to, I kind of put myself on bed rest. I wasn't doing too much at that point because I had stopped working. So yeah, I was just trying to relax, trying to keep the babies in and just do a good job, trying to eat well, all those kinds of things. Okay, so 35 weeks pregnant. So during a growth and wellbeing scan, twin A was in the first percentile for size and weight. So I was diagnosed with intrauterine growth restriction. And this meant that I had to pretty much deliver within the next week, they suggested. So they said that the best thing was to get the babies out. They weren't going to be doing much more growing by this point because there was no room left for them to grow in my tummy anymore. So the safest thing was to actually get them out. So my husband and I decided to do a planned cesarean the next day, which I was grateful that I could get in that quickly. Something actually opened up. One of the ladies whose place I took for the cesarean actually went into labor early, so that is how it freed up a space for me. So I was super grateful that I could get on that list, and I was mentally prepared by that point. So at 35 weeks, when I went for that growth and well-being scan, I knew that it was going to be soon. So I just knew that my body, it felt like it was starting to fail on me. And so I had packed my bags for the hospital because I knew, like, I'd been to hospital that many times. I knew that this time, like, I was literally like a cat with 9 lives. I'd just keep coming back and everyone would be like, okay, we thought like maybe you'd go into labor, or, you know, okay, with the PPROM experience or water rupture and, you know, all this kind of thing. So I was very grateful that I was able to come back home and rest. But yeah, I just knew that this time when I checked into hospital, I wasn't going to be coming back. So there you have it, my twin pregnancy symptoms week to week. I hope that by sharing this experience, other twin mums or mums of multiples can feel a little bit more supported and less alone when you're searching for information. If this video was helpful, please make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on my weekly uploads. And I'll be sharing more twin mum stories alongside my homestyle baking recipes. So if there's any topics baking or twin mum related, let me know, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments too. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.